Bonte Hill alongside NBA champ Festus Ezeli and Hall of Famer Chris Mullin 1 hour before and immediately after every single game. Plus nonstop Warriors content with the NBC Sports Bay Area app. Authentic moments live here on NBC Sports Bay Area.
What do you think makes the perfect snack?
It's gotta be when I'm really craving it and it's convenient.
Could you be more specific?
When it's cravenient.
Okay.
Like a freshly baked cookie made with real butter, available right down the street at AM/PM, or a savory breakfast sandwich I can grab in just a second at AM/PM.
I'm seeing a pattern here.
Well, yeah, we're talking about what I crave.
Which is anything from AM/PM.
What more could you want?
Stop by AM/PM where the snacks and drinks are perfectly craveable and convenient. That's Cravenience. AM/PM, too much good stuff.
What's up, Dub Nation? Do you want to get cash back on Warriors gear? All you have to do is sign up at Rakuten.com/Warriors, where you can earn 10% cash back in store and online at Warriors Shop. Once you're a member, shop your favorite stores like Fanatics and Ticketmaster and watch the cash back add up in your account. Rakuten is the most rewarding way for you to shop and maximize your savings. Join Rakuten for free today at Rakuten.com/Warriors or download the Rakuten app. That's RAKUTEN.
Thanks for showing up, Dub Nation. Nothing beats catching your Warriors live, and nobody knows that better than you. So next time you want to hit up a game, Ticketmaster's got your back. As the official ticket marketplace of the Warriors and the NBA, even if you're headed to the game last minute, Ticketmaster gets you to the game so you can experience all the sights, sounds, and styles in person. Keep putting that jersey collection to use and get Warriors tickets today at Ticketmaster. Get tickets at Ticketmaster.com/Warriors. See you courtside again soon, Dub Nation.
Make pet care stress-free with PetMeds, the official partner of the Golden State Warriors. As a trusted national online pharmacy for over 29 years, PetMeds is licensed in all 50 states to support your pet's wellness. We offer a comprehensive range of health solutions for every stage of life, from prescription medications to nutrition and supplements. Visit PetMeds.com and use promo code WARRIORS for 30% off your entire order. PetMeds, empowering you to help your pets live longer, healthier lives.
Curry, pump fake, fly by, three ball, got it with the buzzer sounding!
You've been listening to Golden State Warriors basketball on the Warriors Radio Network. Presented by United Airlines. For tickets, visit Warriors.com or call 888-GSW-HOOP.
You wish you were here.
This Odyssey Sports broadcast has been brought to you by Geico. Switch and save. Get more with Geico.
The lights are out.
Curry gets it, the lights go out.
The game is over, and we're here to pick up the pieces. This is Warriors Wrap-Up on 90.
Rebound swept away. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander will dribble it out. And that's going to be your final. A valiant effort by Golden State in the second half without Jimmy Butler, without Seth Curry. They made it a game, gave themselves a chance, but the defending champions are well schooled on how to win games. They're 21-1 now on the season. The final score, Oklahoma City 124. The Warriors 112. Golden State falls back to 500. And they have a 3-game road trip with Curry out and Butler questionable with a sore left knee. We'll see what happens on the road trip. They do have Seth Curry now and hopefully get DeAnthony Melton back on this trip. So we'll see how things will go for Golden State in Philly, in Cleveland, and Chicago.
Well, I think a lot to unpack from this game tonight. It goes down as a loss for Golden State, 124-112, as they push the defending champion Oklahoma City Thunder in the second half. The Dubs shoot over 50% from the floor in that second half. They get 68 bench points. 4 different double-digit scores from the second unit alone as they take, the defending champs to the brink, but eventually fall to OKC by a final of 124-112. This is Warriors Wrap-Up on 95.7 The Game. Evan Giddings with you. And I thought this was a really interesting game and what turned into a pretty damn good game. You know, you think about where the Warriors were in the first half, trailed by as many as 22 points. It looked like at halftime when they were down 19 after Shai Gilgeous-Alexander goes on a personal 8-0 run. He finished with 38 points tonight. You felt like at that point, you know, this game was basically over. But from there, the Warriors, they fought back, and to an extent where they had a lead in this game. after a Pat Spencer turnaround fadeaway with 4 minutes and 54 seconds left. It was kind of a turnaround fader over Chet Holmgren, potential defensive player of the year, where he kind of caught him and put it high up above the 7-footer's reach. Nothing but net. It was 107 to 106 at that point. And from there, the champion showed up. Shai Gilgeous, pull-up jump shot from 10 feet. A minute later, Isaiah Joe hits a three from the corner. Right after that, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander hits a big step-back three to make it 114-107. And at that point, it's kind of kaput. They go on a 7-0 run right there to gain some separation. Warriors did fight back. Draymond Green had a late three. Gary Payton II had a nice running layup at that point, but an 18-5 run over the final 4:54 for OKC. And this was a game that I think there's kind of a lot to unpack as far as some coaching decisions, rotation choices, lineup changes, whatever you want to call it. There was a lot of players that played tonight for the Warriors, and I thought for the majority of the night it was the bench that probably played the best. Kerr played a total of 11 dudes in this game. All 11 had 10 or more minutes. Because Jimmy Butler left at halftime with what was called a knee injury, came into the game questionable with the glute, left at halftime, did not return to the bench, there was a lot of minutes up for grabs. Also because Draymond Green was in a massive amount of foul trouble. Though he did play 29 minutes tonight, he picked up his fifth foul with about 8 minutes left in the third quarter. And I thought for the majority of the game, did not play very well. He hit some big shots down the stretch. Did Draymond. He was good in the fourth quarter, but was pretty much non-existent and in foul trouble the entirety of this game. This game was about the others. And to me, we could get into some of the choices down the stretch and whether it would have or wouldn't have mattered for an OKC team that, again, I talked about this during Warriors Live. What I've seen from them all year long is what the Warriors used to do to teams in 2015-16, and that is just turned it on when they need to, and that's why they're 21-1. But this game was probably, I would say, for the first time since San Antonio, I would say this was the first time I've seen the Warriors really play with heart, like with a competitive edge. And you could say Utah, maybe New Orleans on the road. That game was over at the end of the first quarter because Moody had 7 threes. But they've been pretty much lackluster as far as energy goes, I think, really since they got back from that road trip. And to cap the 5-game homestand, I know they're going to end the homestand 2-3, but to me, the way that the second unit played and really the rest of the guys who we have spent a ton of time talking about how maligned the non-Big Three members of this team are. And there were some guys who didn't play well tonight, for sure, and we can talk about that if you'd like at 888-957-9570. If you want to call in, please let us know. I'm going to be talking about the Warriors and the Thunder tonight. But, like, the guys who we were talking about that had not held up their end of the bargain, they did. Especially the bench did. I mean, they scored 68 points on the best defense in basketball. The Warriors as a team made 18 threes. That's the second most amount of threes given up by the Thunder this season. The Warriors shot 43% from downtown. That is the third best percentage of three-point range the Thunder defense has given up. The Warriors, after turning the ball over 20 times in their first meeting and had turned the ball over 11 times in the first half of this game, took better care of the ball. They only had 15 turnovers total, so 4 in the second half, and I don't think it's a coincidence that 68 second-half points were produced, primarily the 44 in the third quarter, because they took care of the ball. They had better possessions. Sure, they made some crazy shots. They made some tough shots, but they gave themselves opportunities. And they also, for the first time in what feels like a while, did not get absolutely pounded on the glass. I think that Isaiah Hartenstein's absence was a big deal in this game for OKC, but they also didn't have Lou Dort, Alex Caruso. The Warriors were out Steph Curry. To me, it's kind of a wash when you're without your best player. I think Hartenstein hurt them on the glass because you see kind of why Chet Holmgren was in need prior to last season of a center alongside him. But that's neither here nor there, because the Warriors, I thought, fought on the boards. They fought to maintain security of the basketball, and they fought the hell out of the Thunder to the point where, again, they had a lead with 5 minutes left. And this was one that I think leaves a lot of people wondering exactly in those final 5 minutes what Steve Kerr was looking at, what Steve Kerr was doing. He goes away from Pat Spencer, brings back in Brandon Podziemski, as well as Seth Curry. And this is a game that, at around that point again, it turns in favor of Oklahoma City. He basically chose to finish this game with Pods, with Seth, who is great, by the way, in his Warriors debut. He missed his first shot and then made his last 6. He's got Curry on his back. We know he can shoot. A reminder that guy is a 43.3 career percent three-point shooter, led the league in three-point percentage last season. He was awesome in his first game as a Dove. But he closes along with Draymond, Pods, as I mentioned, Buddy Hield, and then Gary Payton II. And to me, that was, I think that the big question is why he went away from someone like Pat Spencer. Because Pat was one of the reasons why the Warriors were even in this game, why they had a lead. Again, like I said, he hit a fadeaway jump shot over Chet Holmgren with 4:54 left in the game to give him a 107-106 lead. And from that point, the wheels absolutely came off. And I don't necessarily think that Spencer single-handedly was going to change an 18-5 run, but I don't think it was a coincidence that the moment he went out, the Thunder, after getting a couple of baskets, it just kind of snowballed. If it comes down to Pat Spencer, I think it's a little bit of what are we talking about here, but you cannot deny that guy played excellent tonight. And I don't know how the Warriors are going to find minutes for him. I think this was a little bit of a game where he had it. I think he was 8 for 11 at one point. But anyways, he was fantastic. He scored 17 points in 21 minutes, was tied for the game lead with Pods in terms of points, and had 6 assists and no turnovers. He was kind of a true point guard for them tonight. And it's going to be tough because DeAnthony Melton's going to be coming back for the Warriors. It's at some point during this road trip. The other piece of news that leaked out from the post-game press conference is that Steph Curry is going to miss this entire road trip. They decided that it would be best for him to stay back here in Golden State while the team heads to Philly on Thursday and then has a back-to-back over the weekend with Cleveland and Chicago. So the next time we're going to see Steph Curry will be a week and a half from now. It's going to be next Friday. Hopefully, they were saying, against the Minnesota Timberwolves. So that gives Steph another 10 days to rest his quad, obviously being sort of precautionary at this point with given the importance of Curry. But I think that's also one of the reasons why his absence to me was encouraging about this game. And because anytime you go to a game without Steph, you wonder how the hell you're going to win the game. You wonder exactly where these points are going to come from, especially against a team like Oklahoma City. Against Houston, another good defense and a top-tier Western Conference opponent, they scored 100 points. And that was with a healthy Jimmy Butler, who did not play in the second half. Against New Orleans, without Steph Curry, they won the game, but they scored 104 points. You know what I'm saying? I think that, and yes, Curry was involved in the Houston game, but didn't really play well and then got hurt late. But my point is, without Steph, you're thinking about where these Warriors are going to be able to score. You go all the way back to when they were without him the first time against Denver, another good Western Conference team. They only mustered 104 points. Without Curry, it's difficult to score if you're Golden State. Even with him sometimes. They only scored 102 points the last time they played Oklahoma City, and that was with Steph Curry. Now, they did have Seth Curry tonight, but you get my point. I think this game was encouraging because at some point in the season, the Warriors are going to need these other guys to give them contributions. And to me, this was not necessarily a throwaway game for them, but they could kind of play with nothing to lose against the defending champs who were expected to come in and absolutely blow them out. They hung with them for, really, I thought up until the last 5 minutes of the game, and I was impressed with the effort you saw in the second half. They did not roll over. They did not give up, and that's, again, why I feel like the Warriors played tonight with the most heart we've seen them since, I would say, the back-to-back in San Antonio, the two road games in San Antonio. They played with pace. They played with energy. They took care of the basketball in the second half. And I don't think it's a coincidence that the moment they started to take care of the ball, 11 turnovers in the first half, 4 turnovers in the second half, the ball also starts to find the right man, the open shots, layups. They got into the paint, whether OKC had defenders on them or not. They were cleaning up loose balls. They did it all actually without really getting to the free throw line, but they knocked down threes. They made the correct passes. I felt like watching them in the second half. It was also, you could tell they got the crowd into the game. That was dead for the majority of the night. So I thought it was quite encouraging that this basketball team was able to find some offensive consistency without Steph Curry, because that's something that they just have not proven that they can do, at least through the first 22 games when Steph has been out. But 888-957-9570 is the number. Evan Giddings with you on Warriors Wrap-Up. If you want to call in, let me know what you thought about the game and others. Kind of up until this point, happy to take all of your notes. We're talking right now at 11:20 because this game tipped off at 8 o'clock. Actually, 8:15 because they had the 15-minute buffer for the prior game. It is a late night, I'm not going to lie to you, so I very much appreciate everybody that has stayed up this late, everyone in our YouTube chat powered by First NorCal Credit Union, everybody that is going to be listening to this tomorrow. I completely understand why. And it's tough because you think about where this game was won and lost for Golden State. And I think part of it, yes, you can point to the decision by Steve Kerr to take out Pat Spencer. But I personally also have to look equally as much at what Oklahoma City did tonight. So in the final, I want to say 5 minutes of each of the quarters. So the way the SGA's substitution pattern works is he plays the first 12 minutes, he plays the last 6 minutes of the second quarter, he plays pretty much the entirety of the third, and then plays, I would say, or maybe he gets subbed out like 2 minutes towards the end of the third, comes back, and then plays about 8 minutes in the fourth. Every single time there was a tight possession, sort of the end of the period push, he was at the center of all of it. I mentioned off the top that he had an 8-0 personal run at the end of the first half. And I thought the way that he almost manipulated the 2-for-1 at the end of the half was just masterful. He hits a backup three with about 25 seconds left, steps back, hits a tough three, thought he got fouled. Then they go down, Warriors miss a shot, and he comes down and hits a pull-up jumper over Pods and draws a foul. He gets 6 points in 25 seconds. Like, that's kind of the difference right now and why I think his game might even be moving to a higher level. In the end of the first quarter, it was like he was in cruise control for the first 10 minutes. He had 3 points through the first 10 minutes and then scored 7 points in the final minute 45 of the first quarter. I mean, he had the tough layup and one over post off glass, had a little floater from straightaway that was also off the window, and then he foul baited Pat Spencer into getting to the free throw line twice, and it's just bing, bang, boom. He's up to 10 points in the last 2 minutes, and you look up, and the Warriors, this is kind of when I thought the Warriors were in trouble in the first half, is when they made 5 of their first 9 threes of this game. And you look up, and they're down 6. It's like that's kind of the separation right now between a team that is clearly championship caliber and a Warriors team that's obviously missing Steph Curry, and everyone else is trying to pick up the slack. I thought in the first quarter the starting unit battled, I thought Pods played with a lot of aggression tonight, specifically in that first quarter. I think he had 9 points in the first. He even surprised Shea one time, kind of caught it on the run. One thing that he's starting to do and has done to make up for lack of his sort of foot speed is so kind of take a pass and is like almost on the move. It's like a wide receiver moving in motion to get a running start. And he had one of those to get to the rack. He had a couple of floaters, a three-pointer. I know that the game looked like it went away from the Warriors in the fourth quarter when he went back to Pods and had a bad three-pointer, a couple turnovers. But, to me, I thought overall Pods played pretty well tonight. The one question, I don't know, maybe I'm off base here, but I was talking to a couple people, and I actually thought that if there was anybody that Pat should have stayed in for, it was Seth. But Kerr wanted to go with the hot hand. I think he also wanted to go with some of his guys, let's be honest, and Seth Curry has proven already in one game that he's got the know-how. He's got what Kerr likes. He can shoot it. He does not turn over the basketball. Didn't have a turnover in 18 minutes tonight. Knows where to go with the ball. Seems to be a good passer. Seth is a guy who's going to play. So the Warriors have another guard that they got to figure out where he fits. And between Spencer, I would say, Curry, Seth Curry, that is, and Pods, I mean, that's kind of a 3 small guard little rotation there. Also, I mean, Buddy played a lot tonight, and Kerr said after the game, which we can hear in a little bit, that he went to him for defense. I didn't necessarily agree with that, but the thing was, and what was kind of the underlying part of some of the others in this game was Moses Moody and Jonathan Kuminga both did not play very well, at least in my opinion. Moody specifically, he hit his first shot, he hit his first three-pointer, and then midway through the first quarter, Draymond had a turnover, and he was having a really brutal first quarter. He was in Scott Foster's ear the entire time, but he had a bad turnover in which Moody didn't cut, or there was some form of miscommunication. So Kerr subs him out and has kind of an animated conversation with I thought, Moses Moody on the bench. He was kind of jawing at him, and it was like Moody's energy and his confidence was just completely sapped. Completely sapped. And I understand where some people might hear that and say, well, that's Steve Kerr's fault. Why would he jump down the throat of Moses in a game where he's going to need him? And I would say, yeah, that's fair, and, probably hurt his confidence a little bit because it looked like it, but it's like you're a pro. Like, you still got to go out there and perform. And I also thought that Seth Curry was the example of a guy that was Mr. Stay Ready. In his first Warriors game this season, his first 2 minutes, he committed a turnover. Well, not a turnover, but an offensive foul, kind of like a turnover. He bricked his first shot and also didn't cover. I think it was A.J. Mitchell in the corner, lost him when he was backpedaling on defense. Jimmy Butler was telling him to get to the corner, doesn't do it, leaves him wide open, hits an open three. And in the first minute or so of Seth Curry's tenure with Golden State, I'm thinking this guy's completely discombobulated. He doesn't know where to be. He's committing fouls. And in spite of all that, again, did not have a good start. He finishes 6 for 7, puts his head down, goes to work, and plays like a pro should. So as much as I want to say, yeah, Kerr shouldn't be getting in Moses' face, it's like here's a guy who also is playing poorly off the bat, puts it behind him, and finishes the game. Seth Curry closed after having a miserable start in his first couple of possessions, but it didn't affect him. And it seemed to affect Moses. As for Kuminga, I thought that even though he was in during the third quarter when they were making their run and had a couple nice plays, I just think he was forcing a lot tonight, as evidence of 3 of 10. Did hit 1 3, split free throws. He was active on the glass, had a couple of offensive rebounds as well off of misses. But, I thought he and Moses, this was a game where they both, in my opinion, did not play particularly well. 888-957-9570 is the number. Before we hit a break here, let's go out to Rich. Rich, who's in Los Altos. Rich, welcome to Warriors Wrap-Up with Evan. What's going on? How are you?
Hey, Evan, I'm good. Thanks for letting me on. I just real quick want to talk about Buddy Hield a little bit. I mean, he's frustrated me a lot since he's been on this team, and kind of even before he was on this team, just because I think that I hate to attack Kerr because he's my dude, but I think if you use Buddy right, he's good. I mean, and that's the first time I heard anyone talk about his defense of Kerr hitting it tonight, but I thought that for a long time. I mean, he's a big body, plays decent defense, and I know he misses some shots, but I really think if they like freed him up and gave him picks, and I know he's kind of limited, but did what he did, he'd be solid. And I really think it's a mistake to not use him. So I guess it's just a big Buddy Hield call. And I just think he could kind of be almost like Clay was. Not quite, but almost that. But for some reason they give the shots to Pods and all these other dudes, even Moody. And it's just a little frustrating for me. That's all. Again, I'm not bashing. I don't mean to be negative. I just really feel that. I mean, I go to a few games. I watch every game, though. Hield he's not lame or anything. I mean, he makes a couple of mistakes, but anyway, that's all I got, brother.
No, hey, Rich, wait, hold on real fast if you're still there. So, did you feel like people were coming down Buddy's road?
No, I just think. I mean, he gets minutes. I'm not saying he gets minutes, but when he's in there, I don't think he's utilized give him a few picks and he's going to hit shots. I just don't think and he's a rhythm guy, and he, like you saw in the playoffs last year, a couple games. If he's in his rhythm and he's trusted, I think some players that matters to. I mean, even when I was a kid, it mattered. If it's I'm getting attention and really in, I'm more engaged. So, I mean, I know that's kind of silly to say, but I really feel that way a lot.
No, right? Yeah, no, I got you, Rich. I think tonight was kind of the Buddy Hield experience so far, which is I think he made his first two shots, and then he kind of went cold. I don't think he took necessarily any bad shots, but he was just 4 of 15 and 2 for 9. He took the most shots in the game. Missed a big one down the stretch. He played 28 minutes. I think Buddy played a lot, in my opinion, is because Moses Moody wasn't very good. He wasn't very good tonight, and Kerr clearly did not trust him in the second half. I also think too that this was one of the first games that I was watching, and I want to kind of expand on the other side, but I felt like this is the first game where I trusted the other guys not named Steph Curry, Jimmy Butler, and Draymond Green. And that really can't be said for the majority of the season. When those three players either haven't played or played well, there hasn't, to my recollection, maybe the Kings, when Will Richard went for 30 in his first start, there hasn't really been a game when you can look at with one of those guys either out or not playing well, and you're like, yeah, I think the Warriors got a shot tonight. They got, Miami, sure, but they lost that game by 14. That was a game that once the Heat started to play, that game was over. I'm trying to recall one off the top of my head, and I guess there haven't been a ton of them, but Sacramento's probably the only one where I was like, all right, these guys got a little something and they're in it, and obviously they sort of fell apart towards the end of the second half and they just couldn't close, which ended up being the same case tonight. But 888-957-9570 is the number. Evan Giddings with you on Warriors Wrap-Up, taking your calls. And after the Warriors fall 124-112, they're now 11-11 as they hit the road for a 3-game roadie. Steph Curry will be out for all 3 of those games. Jimmy Butler is TBD after going out with a knee injury at halftime of the game tonight. But they fight. They were up by 1 with 5 minutes left in the game. And OKC closes on an 18-5 run. We'll have Steve Kerr in its entirety coming up next when we return on Warriors Wrap-Up here on 95.7 The Game.
What's your financial future look like? At Pettinelli Financial Partners, we help you shape it. Whether you're planning for retirement, buying a home, or saving for something special, our professionals are here to provide clear guidance and smart strategies. Visit PettinelliFP.com today and take the first step toward a more secure financial future. The financial consultants at Pettinelli Financial Partners are registered representatives with and securities offered through LPL Financial, member FINRA SIPC. Investment advice offered through Stratos Wealth Partners, a registered investment advisor. Stratos and Pettinelli are separate entities. From LPL Financial.
Don't watch the game alone on your tiny screen. Ghostwood Kitchen is the ultimate destination for every major sporting event. They have huge screens, energetic atmosphere, and ice-cold craft beer. Their bar is ready to pour your favorite drink, and the menu is packed with delicious game day food perfect for sharing. Bring your team spirit, rally your friends, and catch every single moment with us at Ghostwood Kitchen, where the game is always on. And when the game is not on, we have the arcade to keep you going. Ghostwood Kitchen, 911 Main Street in Redwood City.
Just hearing the word IRS can make people break out in a cold sweat. No one wants to deal with the IRS, and now you don't have to. The good news is Legal Tax Defense has been successfully negotiating with the IRS for more than 15 years. It doesn't matter how much you owe, whether it's $5,000 or $5 million. You deserve the best in the business on your side, and that is Legal Tax Defense. Even if you're working with someone else and just want a second opinion, there is no cost or obligation to call. They can prevent levies, liens, wage garnishments, even file back tax returns. And the best news about Legal Tax Defense is they won't take your case unless they know they will reduce or eliminate your tax debt. Call Legal Tax Defense right now for a free no-risk consultation. 800-323-8922. 800-323-8922. You have nothing to lose but everything to gain. 800-323-8922.
We are Mercy on a mission. Together we bring hope and healing.
Millions live with treatable conditions, but no access to surgery. Mercy Ships changes that. For 50 years, our hospital ships have brought free, life-changing surgeries, restoring health, dignity, and hope. Learn more at mercyships.org.
Neuropathy is a debilitating condition that is sometimes misdiagnosed. Symptoms can include pain, numbness, and tingling in your hands, legs, and feet. Neuropathy is a progressive condition that only worsens unless you get effective treatment. SF Bay Wellness is a leader in neuropathy reversal and uses FDA-cleared, non-invasive electric cell therapy to restore nerve function with no injections, no drugs, and no surgery. The treatments have a 95% success rate. If distance is a factor, ask about our virtual consultation option. Call SF Bay Wellness at 844-94-NERVE for the $99 neuropathy evaluation and receive a personal treatment plan that is tailored to your needs. Don't wait another day. Call 844-94-NERVE. That's 844-94-NERVE. Why keep suffering with the painful symptoms of neuropathy? You deserve to live a pain-free life. Start getting the treatment you need for your neuropathy symptoms. Call today.
What if you had the smartest Wi-Fi? If you did, it'd be Xfinity, of course. And it'd come with their best state-of-the-art equipment. It would boost speeds to the devices that needed them most, prioritizing your most important connections, whether you were streaming, gaming, or gaming while pretending to work. And it would let you stream 4. That's right, 4 games on one screen. It would even power your mobile connection so you could bring faster, secure Wi-Fi speeds with you where you use it most. It would be proactive and fix problems before you knew you had them. Impressive, right? And it would have security features that protect you from threats at home and online. Kinda like a force field for your life. If you had the smartest Wi-Fi, well, everything would work together seamlessly to keep you connected, no matter what. Xfinity. Imagine that. Restrictions apply.
Ready for the ultimate red and gold game day? Laughing Monk Brewing is the place to park, party, and ride. Skip the traffic. Forget the expensive parking. Park for free and dive into an epic tailgate with mouth-watering food, ice-cold Laughing Monk beer, and every game on TV. Catch 95.7 The Game's pregame show with Lorenzo Neal and Evan Giddings. Then hop on the free shuttle minutes away from the stadium. Shuttles are first come, first served. So head to 957thegame.com to sign up and join the party.
That's the sound of James adding long-lasting Gain scent boosters to his laundry this morning. Several hours later, James sniffs the irresistible scent of Gain on his shirt. Gain. Several hours later, James has even caught the attention of his mother-in-law, and she never gives him attention.
Ooh, you smell amazing, James.
Oh, thanks, Mom. I love you too.
I never said that.
Add Gain scent boosters to your laundry. Add joy to your day.
Spencer down the right side off a double screen, penetrates out to Hield, top side to Draymond. Looks and finds Spencer in the corner. Has Holmgren as his defender. Shot clock at 8. Now drives into the paint. Stops, turns, fade away over Holmgren.
Nothing but net for Pat Spencer. Oh my goodness. How did he get that off?
Now back to Warriors Wrap Up on 95.7 The Game.
That's a great question, Tim Roy. How did he get that shot off? That was one of Pat Spencer's best shots probably of his career, and he was a big reason why the Warriors were in this game. He was a reason why they had the lead in this game. The Warriors were up on the Oklahoma City Thunder, the defending champs, the 21-1 Thunder, with 4 minutes and 54 seconds left in this game after Pat hit that fadeaway with again under 5 minutes left, 107-106, and from there the Thunder just took over. An 18-5 run, coincidence or not, didn't coincide after Steve Kerr took Pat Spencer out of the game, brought Podziemski back into the game, and also went away from Will Richard in for Seth Curry. And at that point, Podziemski missed a three-pointer, had a turnover. It spurred, again, both of them scores for Oklahoma City. Some people could look at it and say that's on Kerr. Kerr's the reason why they lost the game. Other people, I think, could point to the fact that this is what champions do. The moment you give them a little bit of an inch, they get an inch at all, they take a mile. And Shai Gilgeous-Alexander saved the best for last. In closing time, he was the man. He was the most valuable player. Knocked down that big three-pointer to make it 114-107. Big fadeaway. Ended up with 38 points. And it felt like he got the majority of his points all at the end of quarters. At the end of the first, he had quick 7 in 2 minutes. At the end of the second, he had a quick 8 in 2 minutes. In the third quarter, did his thing. And then in the fourth, obviously had the kind of the big shots to create the separation that then the Thunder used to go on and win this game. All right, a couple of updates coming in just a little bit for you. But 888-957-9570 is the number. Before we get to them, before we get to Steve Kerr, I do want to go out to Junior in Pacifica. Evan Giddings with you on Warriors Wrap-Up here. Junior, what's going on, man? How are you?
Evan, I'm good, thank you, and it's good to be in touch. I've been dialing in for about 6-7 years now and watched you grow online on down the air. Good work.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much, Junior. And I'm glad you're also I'm glad you made it this late in the night. It's pretty late for you.
It's pretty late for all of us, but that's that's part of the job, right? And so we have a saying in tech where I work that certain failures are overdetermined, meaning there are several reasons, each one kind of backing up the other, why a startup doesn't work. And it was the same for the Warriors tonight. We were at a talent disparity, momentum disparity, gut punches with players leaving the game. And, maybe Kerr could have threaded the needle, but he was rolling a big rock uphill to even do his part to help us keep in the game, and so were the players. So I think we can take a lot of heart from this loss. We got to realize that we're not the anointed champions that we have been in some years past. Lucky us. And just say we are now battling uphill in everything we do. Always outnumbered, always outgunned, right, at this point in everyone's career. And so I'm proud of the Warriors. And, yeah, I can see how Kerr might have threaded the needle, but it wasn't ever going to be an easy or obvious thing to do. And anyone calling anyone an idiot on a night where we probably overperformed is got to get their head examined.
Thanks, Junior. I appreciate the kind words, and I'm kind of with you. Like I understand that it was a really bad look, the last 5 minutes for the way to go that it did, but I mean, 18-5 run by the champions on the road. That's what the Golden State Warriors used to do to teams. I talked about it before the game, the similarities that I believe the Thunder share with that 2016 squad, and why I think they have action to challenge that regular season all-time record. And it's because of nights like tonight. I mean, this is what the Warriors did. every team would give them their best shot, whether they had their starters or on a night like tonight where the Warriors didn't have their two best players by the end of the game. They would always get opponents' best shots, and they would always parry those blows with late runs, with flurries, by pulling a rabbit out of a hat. I mean, you do not win 73 games, and in the case of Oklahoma City, you do not start 21-1 without being able to turn it on when you need to. And time again, you saw them do that tonight. And tonight, it really wasn't about their defense the way it is and kind of has been for the first 22 games. Tonight, it was about they had guys that could go get a bucket when they need to. And yes, the Warriors made a couple mistakes, but I don't know about it. Maybe it's because they were so close and they had a lead late, but I did not think the Warriors were going to pull this game out. I mean, I thought it was amazing and almost damn near miraculous considering the hand that they were dealt, that they were in the game at all, that they had a lead under 5 minutes to go. I mean, I was talking with someone from the Warriors staff after the game, right after the Kerr presser, and he was saying they were kind of looking up at the scoreboard and going, wow, we're in clutch time. And clutch time defined by a game under 5 minutes that's separated by 5 or less points. And he's going, wow, we're in clutch time with the Oklahoma City Thunder. And I know that sounds weird for a lot of Warriors fans, but that was this kind of game. Like, they should have been blown out tonight. They were down 19 points in the half, and their best player available didn't come out of the locker room. They should have gotten waxed by the Thunder, but what did they do? They responded with a massive counter blow. And you can say so-and-so wasn't good and so-and-so didn't do this, but the Warriors showed an immense amount of fight tonight. And a level of, I think, competition that, quite frankly, we haven't seen for the majority of this season. Like, they are 11-11. They're a 500 team. But to me, this was a pretty optimistic outcome, in my opinion, based on who you were going against, based on who was available to you. And I thought the Warriors played their asses off. This is the kind of performance that if they get this sort of energy, this commitment to playing with pace, to playing with ball security, to playing with, basically, I would say decision-making was also important tonight. They're going to have a good road trip, and they're going to have a good rest of the season. I think what's scared me about Golden State is that whenever their top 3 players have had off nights, the rest of the team has fallen apart. Their big 3 players did not play or did not play well tonight. And the rest of the guys were galvanized. I mean, they threw blow after blow at the best team in basketball, bar none. Pat Spencer had 17 points. Gary Payton II played well. Seth Curry steps in for his first game in a Warriors jersey and shoots the hell out of the ball. I thought Pods had an overall good game. Draymond contributed in the fourth quarter. Guys did what they had to do to sort of cobble together this overall effort that, to me, is far more encouraging than discouraging. And so I realize they lost, and they lost by 12, but this is the kind of effort, to me, that can springboard you, especially going into a road trip where you're not going to have Steph Curry. I thought this was a far better performance from them than I was expecting. A lot of people expected them to get blown out tonight. And not only did they not, they made it a game when they had no reason to. That's just kind of the way that I look at it. But let's get on to the head coach. I don't think we have any calls, Cam. So let's get on to the head coach. Let's listen to Steve Kerr in his entirety talking after this one, and then we can sort of parse his words when we're done here.
Just wondering what y'all know about Jimmy at this point.
Hurt his knee. Which knee? Left knee. I don't know anything more.
Did you? I mean, I know you guys were down 19 at half. Did it feel precautionary to not have him come out, or was it like?
I didn't even know until I got out there and I was drawing up the play with a minute to go, and somebody came in the huddle, said Jimmy's down in the training room. So, and then Rick told me a few minutes later that Jimmy was that he was going to be out the rest of the half.
Steve, the 44-point third quarter, obviously without Steph, without Jimmy. what was happening there? Was it movement? Was it shot making? What was the highlight of that 44-point third quarter?
The energy, the competitive spirit was right. It wasn't right in the first half. I think we had an attitude adjustment of, getting into the fight, and then both BP and Pat just, playing the high pick and roll games. We had the floor spaced, and we forced some turnovers. It was a fantastic quarter, and I think it showed, that we can play with that kind of pace and energy and take care of the ball, and that's what it has to look like more often, and I'm confident that it will.
Steve, you said repeatedly the last couple of days you wouldn't hesitate to use Seth. That you wouldn't hesitate to use Seth. What does it say about him that first game of the year, not a lot of practice time in the last few days, and boom, he rolls out of bed and hits?
Well, he comes from the greatest shooting family in the history of basketball, so he's a pro. The guy's been around for a long time, and he's helped win a lot of games for a lot of teams, and he kept himself ready, and he just knows how to play. He's in the right place at the right time. He doesn't turn it over. He's a good passer, and he fights defensively. It's great to have him.
That three-man combination of Pat, Buddy, and Seth probably wasn't one that you had in mind. What allowed that trio to work?
Well, Pat's pick and roll game was incredible tonight, and second half we played faster. We were able to spread the floor and just get into a lot of high ball screens, and Pat was getting downhill, getting into the paint, and when he wasn't making his mid-range shot, he was moving the ball along, and once you get a paint touch like that, the defense has to react, and as I said, I thought BP did the same thing. Both guys really played great games and created a lot for others, and obviously we played faster in the second half, spread the floor more, and got a good rhythm going. Just couldn't close the game.
I was just kind of wondering how, maybe the thought process and how you land on a specific closing lineup on a night like tonight where your two stars are out, you got, kind of random guys, chipping in. You have a big comeback with a lot of your bench guys. I guess, why did you go with the lineup you went with?
We're just going with the guys who have, really played the best and you feel good about, and we stayed with Gary because he's our best on-ball defender. Buddy is also better defensively than given credit for, and we wanted him on the ball, and we wanted his floor spacing. He got a good look late. He was mad at himself for not knocking it down, that corner shot, but Buddy is a great shooter, and so we were just going with the guys that we felt gave us the best chance.
As you mentioned, Pods have been playing well, but did you think about keeping Spencer in there to close? I think you took him out with 3-something left. He was going obviously very well.
Yeah.
Was that a consideration?
It was a consideration, but we wanted to get Brandon back in the game because he was also playing at a high level, and Pat had been out there for a while, and just felt like a good time to sub. We have played them together a little bit. That was discussed in the huddle, but we decided to go with the group that we went with.
We've been talking about you're going to have a lot of guards very soon, a lot of guys to put in the rotation. It's not going to be easy, but given what Spencer has done, what he did tonight, is he a guy that you have to look at, like maybe find some more minutes for this guy?
Well, Pat's just awesome. He's such a pro, such a competitor. And the fact that he can play any role, he's the same guy every day, whether he plays 21 minutes or 0, and he's a really good downhill pick and roll player, which is a powerful force that you need that type of action, especially in the modern game with the floor spacing, and he's a good passer. So. I could tell you, I'd love to get him more minutes. We also have Melt coming back, hopefully on this trip. Pat's also on a two-way, so he's limited to 55 games. So we may have to, once Steph is back and we have Melt. We may have to give him some nights off because he's got a 50-game limit. So there's a lot at play here. But Pat's he's an NBA player. He belongs on our roster full time.
I guess just to kind of follow, you touched on a little bit with Pat's 50-game limit. Just how much discussion has there been up to this point on how to use those games?
Well, we haven't even had the luxury to not have him active, through 22 games. So it hasn't even been a question. But now it will be a question with, once Melt and Steph are back, we do have to ask that question.
This was Draymond's 900th regular season game in his career. And for a second-round pick, reaching this milestone, how do you describe, the mark he's made on this franchise and the longevity he's had playing in a position where he's undersized?
Draymond is just incredible. He struggled in the first half, and he's such an emotional player, which is, what drives him, that passion, that emotion. And the game just did not go his way in the first half, and I was just so proud of him for fighting through that and then having a great second half, even after picking up those fouls, to sit for a while and come back and play a great fourth quarter. The guy's the ultimate champion, and, we ride with his emotion, and sometimes it gets the best of him, but more often than not, he's just a winner. He's just a championship player and somebody who our guys feed off of. And I thought he was brilliant in the second half after his first half struggles.
Steve, after Pat gave you guys a 1-point lead inside 5 minutes, they went on an 18-5 run. Was it a matter of what they were doing? Did they just find another gear, or do you think you guys ran out of gas a little bit?
I didn't feel we ran out of gas. I mean, they're 21-1 for a reason. Shea's the MVP for a reason. He goes 5 for 6 from 3. The step back at the top of the circle was a huge shot, and it's one you kind of have to live with. You don't want him getting to the rim, obviously, and they made big shots. I think Isaiah Joe made a corner 3. Jalen Williams, made a big shot. So you give them credit. They're the NBA champs for a reason.
Hey, Steve, what from that comeback do you want to see carry over as you get ready for this road trip?
The energy, the competitive fight, the ball movement, the ball security. The second half, I think we had like 4 turnovers. And despite, playing at that pace and defending like we did. So, shots are going to go in, shots are going to miss, but you can be consistent, taking care of the ball, consistent with your effort and energy, and that's what we're looking for on a consistent basis.
Steph going to make the trip?
Steph will not make the trip. He's going to stay home. It was a long shot for him to play in the back-to-back, and we don't play again until Friday. So it just makes perfect sense for him to stay home with Rick, get the rehab done here, get his work in, and hopefully be ready for Minnesota next Friday.
And that was Steve Kerr after the Warriors fall to the Oklahoma City Thunder 124-112. Like he mentioned, probably the most notable thing as far as the big boys are concerned. Steph Curry will be out for the entirety of this road trip. Just 3-game roadie, so he'll be back in 10 days in 4 games. Hopefully, we'll be back in 10 days for their matchup with the Minnesota Timberwolves, kind of a part of their rescheduling due to the in-season tournament. And the Warriors get kind of a mini bye, if you will, after the Sunday game. They then fly back, and they have basically 4 days of rest between then and the Friday matchup with the Timberwolves that they hopefully will get Steph Curry back for. But that last part, the last answer to the second to last question, I think was the most important part of this. And before we go any forward, I want to remind people you're listening to 95.7 The Game, KGM, ZFM, and HD1 San Francisco, always live in the free Odyssey app, Twitch and YouTube, powered by First NorCal Credit Union. I think that this game is an example of what the what the Warriors have sort of been seeing from other teams and why they've been caught in a lot of the bad losses, right? Like, I don't know. I didn't think they were going to beat Oklahoma City tonight. Even when they were up by 1 point, I was sort of waiting for, I don't know, SGA or Jalen Williams or Chet, somebody to do something. If the Warriors had won this game tonight, that would have been, and I said it before the game, it would have been shocking to me. But the fact that they were in the game, that to me is, I know there's no moral victories, and Draymond Green after the game said there's not. But for this specific team, at this particular time, this is an encouraging performance, in my opinion. Because I think the reason why they lost to Milwaukee, why they lost to Indiana, why they lost to Sacramento, why they lost to Miami, and you can make a case of why they lost to Portland, is because those are all beatable teams, by the way. Milwaukee's a little bit different. I mean, they're not playing well whatsoever, even with Giannis, but they didn't have him for that game. All of those teams, to me, are certainly in the realm of possibility to claim victory from. There's 5 games. You get 4 of them, we're talking about a very different sort of team, right? They have 15 wins instead of 11. They're a team that's in the top 6, not at the bottom of the play-in right now. Between around the 8th seed, I believe, is where they stand at 500. The reason why I think they lost those games is because they could not find the level of effort and consistency as far as energy. And again, the commitment to ball security, to running the floor, to doing the little things. They didn't have that in those 4 or 5 losses. I think that's what cost them against Milwaukee, against Indiana, against Sacramento, and against Miami and Portland. The last of which was on this homestand. It has been an inconsistent basketball team so far. And what I saw tonight against the best team in the league was a consistent level of energy. Now, it just happened to come from players that are towards the back end of the roster, but to me, that's something you can build on. Like, if you're getting that from your role players on a consistent basis, you're going to win games. You're going to win games you shouldn't win. You're going to be able to sustain a potential winning streak when you get all your other dudes back. When Curry comes back, when Jimmy's back, you're not going to have to rely on them as much. Even when Curry and Jimmy were healthy, I mean, they haven't really had a blowout win this year. You got to go all the way back to the Clippers, and you got to go back to their 4-1 start. I know they had it against Utah. You could say the Pacers, but in my opinion, I mean, that was a close game in the third quarter. My point is, if the Warriors play the way they played tonight, I think this team can be all right. I think this team can realize its potential. In fact, I think this was the sort of energy that we saw last season from them down the stretch of the year, in which they won 23 of 31 games. I mean, they were not just energetic, but they were efficient against. So this is the best defense, not even close, in basketball. And they made 18 threes. That's the second most amount of three-pointers the OKC Thunder have given up. They shot, the Warriors did in this game, 43% from three-point range. That's the third best percentage from three against the Thunder's defense. They were leading by a point with 4:54 left in the game after not having Jimmy Butler in the second half, Steph Curry being out, and Draymond Green essentially being a non-factor for 3 quarters because of foul trouble. This was all on the role players, on the others. Some players made more contributions than others. You could look at a substitution pattern down the stretch and say it cost them the game. I'm choosing to look at this performance as a building block, because if they get this from all the rest of those guys, from the GP2s, from the Seth Currys, from, the Pat Spencers, from the Hields, from the Pajemskis, from the rest of those guys, they're going to be okay, I think. They scored 44 points in the third quarter on the best defense in basketball. And not a lot of it was flukish. They were getting what they wanted to. They were getting to loose balls. They were taking care of the ball. They weren't giving it up. And to me, it was a 180 from the first half in which they had 11 turnovers. They were getting absolutely gashed. They gave up 63 points. And I just feel like the things that we've wanted to see from this Warriors team, we didn't get it in terms of a win, but we got it in terms of everything else until that point. And to me, the lack of a victory, I think you got to give credit to the Thunder. So, I don't know. It may sound like, excuses or, kind of a moral loss, or a moral victory, I should say. But that's how I think the Warriors have to look at it. I don't think they're discouraged by this loss at all. I think they were discouraged by the last time they played Oklahoma City, which, by the way, is one of the reasons why I felt like they would play a little better tonight, because they had already seen that competition and was on the road. But they've now seen Oklahoma City twice, and they look completely different than they did the first time they played them. And the first time they played them, mind you, when they got blown out, they had Steph, they had Butler, they had Draymond, and they still got waxed. They played better tonight than they did against them the first time. So, I'm choosing to look at this as more of kind of an encouraging performance from them. And, yeah, you can say that they're not getting this every game, but I think they might be able to. Like, you're going to get DeAnthony Melton back. To me, the challenge is going to be Kerr sort of, like I think it was Junior talking about, threading this needle that every single night they're going to have some choices to make. Ideally, having Butler and Curry back should make those choices easier. But until then, you're going to have to thread the needle of who's playing the best. And that's going to be something we're going to have to talk about quite a bit, because they got a lot of guards now. And that means between Podziemski, between DeAnthony Melton, between Seth Curry, between Steph Curry, between the two Currys, Podziemski, as well as Melton. You can throw Pat in there if you want. There's like 5 guards right there that Kerr's going to have to make a choice about on a given evening. So I think that's probably going to be the most challenging part for him to figure out how all those combinations work. And maybe it's a night like tonight where he plays 11 and all 11 guys play double-digit minutes, where 9 of these dudes play 20-plus minutes and nobody plays 30. Maybe that'll help the older guys be able to sustain it for a little bit longer. I'm not sure, but I think this team is far from realizing its potential. I don't think that this win means they're all of a sudden, back in the second tier of groups, but we're looking for building blocks, because for the most part this year they've just been so up and down, and I think that in that second half you really saw them play with cohesion, and that's not something that we've gotten. I also think you're probably going to get better performances in the future from Moody, from Kuminga. Maybe you're going to get a whole performance from someone like Quentin Post, who tonight was fine in 18 minutes, but didn't really shoot the ball much. And I thought they kind of just played mostly without a center against a team that didn't have a lot of size because of the lack of Hartenstein. But overall, I think an encouraging game for Golden State. Certainly one of the better losses that we've watched this season, and one that after halftime I was not looking forward to talking to you about. And by the end of the game I was, because I thought it was a really interesting game. And we're going to talk about it all day tomorrow. Of course, from 6 to 10 with Spadoni and Shasky, 10 to 2 with Steiny and Guru, and from 2 to 6 with Willard and Dibbs. So keep an eye out for everything we got going tomorrow. Next time you can catch the Warriors on 95.7 The Game and Tim Roy. It's going to be 4:30 on Thursday against a pretty good Philadelphia 76ers team. A team they've turned over now to Tyrese Maxey, and he's got them playing some basketball. They do have Paul George back. Embiid, I believe, played in the last game, but they're a team that right now is 11-9, is looking like more of the team I think people assume they could be, as opposed to the cellar dweller they were last year because of injuries and overinflated contracts. So an interesting matchup there, and then they'll get over to Cleveland as well as Chicago for back-to-back this weekend. So a lot ahead for Golden State, a lot ahead here on 95.7 The Game. But for now, we got to get to bed. It's past midnight. My network coordinator, Cam Williams, is doing his darnest, I'm sure, to keep his eyes open. I don't think he even drinks coffee, so I don't know how the hell he's up at this hour. But a big thank you to him. Big thank you to Steven Risotto, who was helping to cut us all that sound you heard earlier, all the sound you'll hear tomorrow. Doing a fantastic job in our 95.7 The Game Laughing Monk studios. My name is Evan Giddings, saying so long from Chase Center, where the Warriors fall to the defending champs. Final score, OKC 124, Golden State 112. You've been listening to Warriors Wrap-Up on your home for Golden State Warriors basketball, 95.7 The Game. We'll talk to you next time.
Started in sports radio, and there were guys from the old generation who were ripping the modern player of the 90s. They said those guys are